I'm in a toxic relationship with this book. I've never hated two main characters more, and yet I haven't been this addicted to a book in ages. Today I'm going to try something different, and I'm going to be talking about Magnolia Parks by Jessa Hastings, which was a highly anticipated read on my TBR. I saw it all over my FYP, and I really wanted to understand what the hype was all about. I was recommended to this as someone who loves character-driven romances and books in general, and I like the messy dynamic. So I had really high hopes going into this, and I feel balderdashed. I feel really let down because this was not what I wanted from this book. This is my first time ever doing a rant review, and boy am I going to rant. This is going to be unhinged, unfiltered, and unfavorable in a lot of ways. For those who are unaware, features Magnolia Parks, who is a Nepo baby in London, and she has been in love with BJ Ballantine since she was a teenager. They went to boarding school together. They started dating during high school. They dated throughout college until he cheated on her, and since then they've been in this sort of loop of terror. And that loop of terror terrorized me through all 423 pages of this book. From the very beginning, I knew that Magnolia Parks was not going to be a character that I connected with. She came off very spoiled. She's constantly talking about designer clothes, how rich she is, all the famous people her parents knows. And already right there and then, I was like, she's a spoiled brat. But even spoiled brats have hearts. Even spoiled brats can be redeemed. I was still open-minded. There is a line very early on in the book where she's talking about all the guys she hangs out with, and she goes, I know these boys of mine so well. It icked me so bad. I knew she was going to be a pick-me. I knew she was going to be a girl who centered her entire life around male attention. And that's not, for me, something that I vibe with very well. But I figured maybe she'll get better as the book goes on. It's a very thick book, and maybe BJ will redeem her. Then I met BJ, one of the most insufferable douchebags that's ever existed on a page. I have literally read books where the male main character is stalking the girl, and they have had better personalities than BJ Ballantine. There is nothing about BJ that is likable, redeeming, or good. He is the worst of the worst, and Magnolia Parks is pretty bad too. As I got further into the book, they talk about how they have this inseparable love and these bonds that tie them, and how their love is a love for a lifetime. It's a love of the ages. It's like some epic story. It's bigger than Romeo and Juliet. And yet, not once do either of them ever say anything about each other and why they love each other, other than that they are attractive. BJ talks for pages about how hot Magnolia Parks is, how he wants to touch every part of her body and feel her skin against his skin. Her warm brown skin was so alluring and beautiful to look at, and the way her lips twitched. But he never once says anything about her heart or the way she makes people around her feel. He never talks about her personality. I don't think there is a single reference to him enjoying her personality. In fact, every time he talks about her personality, he says that she's the worst person he knows. She's constantly using people as playthings. She's difficult. She's obnoxious. That's the only thing he ever has to say about her personality. Magnolia Parks also does the same thing. And it's funny because there's a part of the book where she talks about everything that her friends around her taught her. One of them taught her how to be steadfast, and some of them taught her how to be compassionate and how to rely on other people. And BJ taught her how much her heart could break. If this is the kind of love that they are expecting people to have, I hope love never finds me. I hope a love like theirs never finds me or anyone I've ever loved or cared about. It's horrendous. It's terrible. And I'm surprised that I went through 423 pages of this. Just awful. And as the story went on, I kept hoping for redemption. I thought, people love this story. There must be something about it that is redeeming at the end of it all. You must find out that they have sacrificed their lives for each other, or they've been through some traumatic events. No. It's 400 pages of them one-upping each other and going tit for tat and trying to see who could break each other's heart the most. Horrible. And then the way they use other people around them is literally atrocious. Magnolia Parks uses everyone in her life for her own gain. The way she treated Christian atrocious. The way she treated Julian, and especially the way she treated Tom. It's very clear very early on that Tom had started developing feelings for Magnolia. And he is so good to her and so kind to her. And whatever else he has going on is irrelevant. He is so good to her. And the entire time they're together, all she does is think about BJ. They're literally having sex and she's thinking about sex with BJ. And then she continues to sleep with him. And then the minute she's done sleeping with Tom, she runs to BJ, who of course is with someone else because he doesn't give a crap about Magnolia, and he never did. He can say he loves her or whatever. The way he treats her is one of the most atrocious things I've ever seen, ever. Words can't be put to how atrocious BJ treats Magnolia the entire time. And when she is simply asking for a reason why he did all this to her, for a reason, when she's searching, begging him for a reason to help her get over this, he says, we can only be together if you let go of the fact that I cheated on you and broke your trust. Let go of it. Get over it. The reason you're not together is because she can't get over it because she doesn't know if she can trust you. And then all you do is give her more and more reasons not to trust you. It's simply atrocious. It's simply disgusting. And the ending, I was almost happy at the end when they got together because I was like, these two people deserve each other. No one in the world deserves to be with either of them because everyone deserves better than them. They are so bad that they deserve each other and they should be together, just making each other miserable and leaving everyone else out of it for the rest of their lives. That's how I felt by the end of it. And then we had to find out that he cheated on her with her best friend. I know that was supposed to be that punch. I know that we were supposed to feel bad for her and poor Magnolia. Everyone knew and I didn't feel bad for her at all. In fact, I felt like she deserved it by that point. I felt like, who cares? I don't feel bad for her. I'm glad this happened. They can both rot. That's what I felt like at the end of this book. It was honestly horrible. I will say there was some redeeming characters. I actually am excited to read Daisy's story and find out more about Daisy and Julian. I really like them. I loved Christian. I really, really liked Christian. I enjoyed Christian. And so I would like to read Daisy Hates because as long as they're not the main focus of it, I'll probably enjoy it because everyone else had more personality and more growth than these two did. However, all of that said, and all of that it was a lot of ranting. There was something addictive about this. I wrote this on Goodreads as I was taking my notes as I was reading. I'm in a toxic relationship with this book because I couldn't put it down. I had to read every last page of this. As infuriated as I was, as much as this made me want to pull my hair out of my head, I had to finish it. I had to finish this book. I needed to know what was going to happen. I was very invested, as much as I don't like these two characters and I hate these two characters. There was just something about this. I think it's the writing style. The writing style is very different. It's almost as if you're reading a diary, especially the way Magnolia talks. And I felt that kind of drew me in a way. It's almost as if she's recounting this story to a friend years later, telling them all the tea of her horrible relationship that she had with BJ. And I found that intriguing. But again, Magnolia and BJ, absolutely awful. I don't know how to feel about it. And that's why I'm struggling to figure out what to rate this book, because I was addicted and yet I literally hated it. I was like rage reading it and yet I needed to read it. I read every single page of this book, every single word, couldn't put it down, wanted to throw it across the room. So how do you rate a book like that? Do you rate it 5 stars? Do you rate it 1 star? I don't know if they're meant to be incredibly insufferable or if they just didn't come off the way that Jessa was expecting them to come off. And that is what I'm struggling with. That is why I am absolutely boggled with this book. I've never hated 2 main characters more, and yet I haven't been this addicted to a book in ages. So how do those 2 things compute? And how do I deal with rating this book? I have no idea. I'm hoping that once I get my thoughts out, I'll be able to figure it out. I am very excited about Daisy Hates. I will probably start that soon. I'm working on another series right now. But those are some of my thoughts on this book. What I will say, I guess this is the part of where I do constructive criticism, if any. If BJ and Magnolia had been 16 throughout the course of this book, I feel that I would have been more receptive to their behaviors and their inner dialogue. But they are in their mid-20s at this point and acting like 15-year-olds. And that was really hard for me to wrap my mind around and to accept. Had this been a teen romance, had they been 17, 18, even 19, I think that I could have accepted the way they were acting, but they weren't. And therein lies the crux of the issue. That is my unhinged thoughts on this book. I don't know how this video is gonna be. I've never done one of these before, but I needed to talk about it. I wish I had someone here to talk about it with, but I don't, so I'm talking to my camera. And I'm hoping that you can help me figure out what to rate this book, because I'm struggling, my mind is reeling, and I don't know where to go from here. Anyways, that is my Magnolia Parks review. I hope you enjoyed it. You probably didn't. I know I didn't. And let me know what you would rate this.